Interesting.
Sila does sound really good. That might be too. Then you're like lots of that.
Welcome everybody to Dharma Punx, Seattle. Good to see everybody. We've been pommeling through the 10 subjects for frequent recollection. We've made it to the 4th of the 10 on the list, and the 4th one is, does regret come up over my conduct? And so, again, framing this in the subjects of 10 frequent recollections. This is something, as stated in the chant, to be reflected again and again by somebody who has taken on the path to liberation. So from the context of does regret, most of us don't like to regret. Maybe we do regret, but choose not to acknowledge our regrets, or the opposite way. We regret things we needn't regret. Our minds help us regret things that in a way that is self-punishing and cruel. And so with this one, taking it in the context of the Eightfold Path. And in the Eightfold Path, there is broken up into 3 sections, which is wisdom, and the second one is Sila, or morality. And so when we're talking about our conduct, that is what we're referring to, is our ethics, our Sila, our morality. And I don't feel like culturally we have an agreed upon set of values. There's some of the maybe unspoken ones. Work hard, get money is probably one of the the main ethics that we do it yourself kind of mentality. But I think if we were to interview sort of guy on the street style, and we asked people what their ethics were, it may not be super obvious or apparent. I think that if we really sit down and reflect and journal, we could probably pick out some values that we really like, but they don't come top of mind for most people. We don't have a set kind of guidelines, ethics that we that we operate from. And ethics being something that is typically looked at strictly for professions. Like counselors have a code of ethics, doctors have a code of ethics, and that's all to keep people safe, supposedly, right? And when ethics are actually upheld and used, like they protect they protect the patients, and they protect the the clinician. And so when we're talking about ethics and Sila and morality, coming at it from that framework of like, this isn't like a set of rules that are meant to restrict you, but a set of principles that you live by in order to protect the people around you and to protect yourself. Protect ourselves from what? Well, it should be obvious from the Buddhist standpoint. I almost want to do a call and response of like, suffering. What is it? Suffering. So, yeah. And so does regret come up when we violate our ethics, our values? And I'll go into more deeply relating to our mishaps and our fuck ups around that, but this is not meant to be sort of like a browbeating sort of statement, more of like, are you a narcissist? Do you care about like the way we show up, and how our actions affect others? So from the Eightfold Path standpoint, what consists is wise speech, wise action, and wise livelihood. So do we care about the way that our speech affects people? Do we care about the way our actions affect people? Do we care about the way our work, the work that we do in the world, affects people? So that sounds just like it came from every direction. So, discussion. I like that this is framed as a question. I'll let the question just remain a question. Does regret arise over my conduct? And just answer the question. Yeah, so with that, we'll go ahead and take a 8-minute discussion break and be back on shortly. All right. Find a comfortable way to sit. I'm gonna shut this door. Finding a comfortable way to sit. Bringing your spine upright. Relaxing the belly. And the shoulders. Relaxing the jaw. The tongue. The spine like a hanger, and the rest of the body like a coat draped on the hanger. Connecting with the breath. At the tip of the nose or in the rise and fall of the chest or abdomen. By having the willingness to stay with the breath, we're setting an intention of mindfulness, establishing a value of mindfulness, knowing the breath that is long, knowing the breath that is short, knowing when you're breathing in, knowing when you're breathing out. Holding these notations carefully. It can be easy to get very robotic and rigid. Maybe adding a smile on the inside of your lips, seeing if that doesn't change the quality of softness or transition from rigidity. Maybe you feel warmth and friendliness naturally arise from the belly, from the heart. Noticing what this quality of metta, loving kindness, feels like in the body. And seeing if we can spread into the head, our brains that do all of this cognitive work for us, that works tirelessly night and day. No days off. To our nose and mouth and ears. A kindness, a thankfulness to our sense doors for allowing us to experience. Through so many different dimensions. Moving from the back of the skull, down the back of the neck, into the shoulders. A place that often carries our stress for us. When we're not able to feel it. Kindly, lovingly, thank you. Moving through our arms and hands. In which some of us have put beautiful art. Thank you. Continuing to spread this loving kindness through the chest, the heart, maybe weary, maybe tired. Thank you. For doing what you do all on your own. our skin, our protective layer. Our skeletal system, all the bones. All the way down to the toes. Thank you. Blood, veins, fatty tissue, all of it. And if you haven't already, just being aware of the whole body filled with this loving kindness that you've spread, this care, this gentleness. Using sort of a water dropper into this full body of loving kindness, dropping in something maybe recently that you regret. something that you did in your actions or your speech. To someone else or to yourself. A harm that came from maybe taking something that wasn't given, a lie. A thought that was very harmful to you. A pattern. And whatever it might be, maintaining this body of loving kindness and holding it. Noticing what changes happen in the body, in the mind. And maybe as you've been holding this regret, you can turn toward and ask it directly, and what are you trying to teach me? What lessons do you have for me? Now, moving toward release, letting go, and say thank you to the regret for its teaching, for its advice. I hope to not see you again. Thank you. And I hope to not see you again. As we come close to ending this meditation, just taking note of the quality of loving kindness, if it's still there. Did it get lost through the investigation of the mind? No right or wrong, just noticing. Something that came up when I was reflecting on this topic earlier was the type of person that says no regrets. Or like those, I'm sure you've seen on the internet, like those people with the no regrets tattoo, but it's like spelled incorrectly. No regrets. And so, you know, I don't know, I was thinking about that as maybe a playful way of entertaining the idea of maybe having regrets is okay. Because maybe I don't want to be like those people. It reminded me also of the super fucking metal guardians in Buddhism. So last week we talked about, you know, guard your sense doors, and, you know, maybe there's some element of like, who are the guardians that protect other people. And in Buddhism, there's the guardians that are moral shame and moral dread, which I don't know. I think it's metal as fuck. And in the context that it means, you know, one of the guardians comes through as having regret over our own conduct, and then also having fear of not, you know, acting appropriately, right? Acting out of our values. And you know, I think about that, just being like, what if Trump had moral fear and moral dread? Would be pretty cool. He doesn't, and, you know, as was in discussion earlier, what ifs aren't super useful, but I think, you know, when we hear terms like moral shame and moral dread, you know, I don't know. I don't really like the sound of morality. I don't know. It sounds a little, I don't know, religious to me, and I'm quite averse to heavily religious connotations. But then, you know, I think about it in these sort of extremes of, like, you know, the people who have harmed me in my life. You know, what if they cared about their actions? What if they cared about the way that their actions affected me? Probably would have been a lot better off. And so, you know, granted, in some fashion, like we're here because we want, you know, because we don't have narcissistic tendencies, probably. We're here because we have the intention to not harm others. But, you know, that's easy to say for the people that we like. I heard somebody say recently, it's very easy, you know, to be kind and loving to the people you like. We won a gold star for that one, but it's actually quite challenging to be kind and loving toward the people you don't like. To show up in our ethics in those moments, to have right speech in the face of people who really have some shitty ass fucking beliefs and piss us off. And you know, I think that in my own practice, I have kind of wanted to have like a separation between like my personal life and then everybody else. But that doesn't really take into the account of that regardless of whether I'm right or wrong, it's still harmful. I can be right and still harm people with my speech and my actions. And, you know, I'm personally interested in Buddhism for the end of suffering for all beings, not just some. You know, I think that that's not likely, but, you know, I do enjoy sort of the Zen aspiration of like, I'm, you know, until all living beings are liberated, you know, I will continue to do this path, right? And like knowingly, like that's fucking bullshit. You know, there's a lot of people not trying that hard. And so we can only control our little spheres for the most part, and what kind of ripples we leave out into the world. And there's a sutta that sort of talks about integrity, and it's the Buddha. He is washing his hands, and then a monk takes the bowl and sort of like kind of quickly throws it out, and there's still just like a little bit of water remaining in it, and he says to the monk something to the effect of like, even, you know, with just a singular lie, right? So just one sort of taint of this is what remains of like the goodness in us, right? And I remember reading that and being like, seems excessive. Like, can't there just be a little bit? Like, I don't know, like, but, you know, I think about my experience with this type of meditation we did today, and sort of the way that like, okay, here's like this loving kindness, this metta that I fill my body with, and then I drop in a singular regret, and it's like a fucking pervasive poison, and it moves and it changes everything in my body quickly. And I think that's the wisdom of that statement, is that we can very easily, in my own practice, it's like very easy to trivialize like a white lie, like a little, just a little one, just a little guy. And, you know, not pay attention to the pervasive nature that it corrodes and corrupts in my body. And, you know, for me, I think having come from a place of being a total fucking liar and deceitful and manipulative person in my active addiction, you know, it can be also easy for me to be like, well, I'm doing good. Like, what's just a little guy here and there? What's just a little bit of, but again, you know, reflecting on the way that this meditation, when we see clearly, we do see the way that integrity has an importance here. And integrity is, I think that we all kind of understand that it means doing the right thing when nobody's looking. But I feel like it can be easily sort of sloughed off as like, well, what does it matter if it's only affecting me? Like, as if, you know, it's only affecting me is an issue. But one of the synonyms that integrity has is sincerity. And so whether maybe instead of practicing with integrity, practicing from my ethics, practicing from a place from my values, maybe switching that word with sincerity, that feels more meaningful to me for some reason. Practicing with sincerity, like that I mean it, what I say. And you know, I think that ties in really well because there's like a folk etymology of the word sincere, where it's like sincera, and it means without wax. And the concept behind that was that you know, folks who were sculpting, if they made a mistake, they had to use wax to fix the sculpting, and so the idea was that, you know, the sincerity means to have not made a mistake. Without wax. This is a practice with sincerity. This is a practice without wax. Now, obviously, like, that's not real. You know, I think even in Buddhism, there's a very deep acknowledgement that, like, you're gonna fuck this up a lot. Like, you're gonna take the 5 precepts, you're gonna turn your heart toward the 8-fold path, and you're gonna fuck it up all along the way. And bringing the loving kindness practice as the container for our ethics. Because without that, we end up probably doing what we've always done, which is being incredibly fucking cruel to ourselves. When we make mistakes, when we don't have all the information, when we don't know, we don't have sort of this foundation of kindness and gentleness towards ourselves and towards others. And so when we fall off the path and, you know, have a regret, it turns into shame, right? And not the cool kind, like moral shame or moral dread, but like, you know, the clinically bad kind of shame that turns into mental illness. And so, you know, I think that's one of the really important differentiations is that distinguishment between regret and shame, right? like the meditation, regret is just supposed to be a piece of information to get us, it's a call for the heart, and it's asking for us to respond with a correction towards our values, towards our ethics. So the regret saying, hey, and often what we do, we say, ah, that was so horrible, fuck, and then like, you know, the regret stays. Instead of the response of being like, oh, fuck, you're right. Okay, like, let's pivot. What do we do? What do you need to tell me in order to get back in alignment, to get back into sincerity of my practice? I feel like for our own practice, you know, the 5 precepts, wise speech, wise action, wise livelihood are really good frameworks for ethics. But really, you know, personalize it. Come up with like 3 that, you know, like you don't have to come up with a shit ton, but come up with like 3 things that matter to you a lot, so that way you can check it quickly. A couple that I go back to frequently is gentle, fierce, and compassion. And it's like going back to those, being like, okay, like checking in. Was that gentle? Okay. Was it fierce? because sometimes like I'm gentle, but like I wasn't fierce enough. Like those 2 check each other pretty well. And compassion, which is kind of just both of those things. But in case I'm forgetting what compassion is. And so having quick ways, because I think that's one of the ways that the self-punishment and the rumination and the spiraling continues, is we don't have these quick outs. I end up in arguments with myself about what is right and what is wrong. And without, you know, mindfulness of the Dharma, mindfulness of reality, right? I forget to turn toward these fucking things that like exist. Okay, let's plug it in. Compassion? Was it compassionate? Was it fierce? Was it kind? You know? Did it fall outside the 5 precepts? And it's so funny because it's so simple. You know, it's almost like my mind enjoys arguing with itself. You would think that I would remember more often. But what often happens too is sometimes I'll plug it in and be like, ooh, okay, this one, I have a regret, not very fierce of me, kind of fearful. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. And so then we just kind of go back into arguing with ourselves, because what does that do? That keeps us not having to do the fucking hard thing and learn the stupid fucking lesson. And that's okay too, you know. Just know that you're deviating, that you're not willing to learn the lesson yet. But I think if there's one big hindrance in my own practice, it's probably that one of, you know, like, okay, I did the investigation, but am I going to do it? Yeah. So, I'll go ahead and end it there. Any thoughts, questions? regrets that don't leave. I would investigate more deeply what I'm not letting go of. Because there's probably something that I want to control, something that I'm attached to that I just have my claws super deep in. Something that I wish I could change or something that I want to keep. Does that answer the question? Kind of. Sort of. Okay. Forgiveness practice as well. It's a really good one. Self-forgiveness. You know, why I heard somewhere where somebody said something like, oh, you did an action and now you deserve a life sentence. It's pretty brutal. Very right-wing conservative of you. Okay.
Something my brain's sticking on is when you were talking about the translation of sincere without wax. My brain wants to also interpret it as not so much that it doesn't need wax, but that I'm presenting it without wax. And that it's not that I didn't make mistakes, but I'm willing to show you them.
Mm-hmm.
And that felt valuable to say out loud.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like sort of a both and sort of metaphor, because it makes, you know, like I want to have that sort of intention of being like, yeah, I could be totally without wax, but like we're probably like, what is that that like Japanese style of like fixing broken, yeah, you know, like we're more like that, right? Like we're all fucking like just tiny little pieces just held together by gold, but you know.
I like when they become more gold than original.
They must be trying to break them at that point.
Huh?
They must be trying to break them at that
Keeps getting more valuable every time.
They keep fucking up, maybe.
Attachment to a nice mug is understandable.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting? Keeps getting more valuable with all the lessons that you learn.
Oh, fuck off.
That's a good one. More valuable with all the lessons you learn.
I was useless when I was 7. I didn't know shit.
True. True. Very, very useless.
But then it's also like, why discard something that's been so useful?
Has it been?
I don't like that you're all interpreting me because you know too much.
Just because my camera is useful at work doesn't mean I'm wearing it right now.
I feel like regret is like, it can be like, if your mind is a dog, it's its favorite chew toy. It
Mm-hmm.
just keeps going back to it. It's like it won't put it down, even though you can see. It's like, why are you ripping the stuffing out of that right now?
Right.
It's making sense, but it just continues. That's very logical.
Yeah. Yeah. For whatever reason, we think that there's value in shame and and that can be really interesting to investigate. Like, what purpose is this doing, right? Like, is this some sort of like self-preservation, that if I like don't hold this like knife to my neck, that like I'll do it again?
I think sometimes it's just entertaining.
Entertainment,
It's just a mental formation that we just really we like.
right? Just a good old pastime to just get out the old beaten stick.
Yeah, it's like coming up with, it's like drivers around you.
Yeah.
That's what kind of like, just like, this is wrong, but it feels right.
I think that was kind of the thought that I was having like earlier during meditation, was like the idea of like letting go of the regret and then being grateful for the lesson. And like, what about being grateful for the regret while I'm having it, because it's a reminder that I'm still self-aware. If nothing else, I'm at least self-aware,
Right. Yeah.
which is
Like,
nice.
you're not a narcissist or a sociopath.
Yeah.
Good news. Step one. All right, let's close it there. Thank you all for coming. Donna, if you would like to donate, you can throw some cash in the bowl. I also have a Cash App or Venmo. You can, the suggested donation is $5 to $10, but all of this is freely offered, so please feel free to, or no pressure, I should say, to donate. Let's dedicate the merit. May any goodness that arose from our practice here today be spread above and below, to the seen and the unseen, to those being born and to those who are dying.